Oh, I hear a bear. Fuck you, bear. Wait, what? Bear? Oh. Well, thank you. Holy shit, dude. He fucking vanished. I hit him with the arrow so hard he reset to the dead state. See you never, loser. That wasn't even my fault. I'm about to make it.
You're seriously making me look at you? Come on.
Where are you? Oh, wait. Disgusting. Oh, let me loot. There it goes. Now, where's that first guy? Yeah, you. Oh, you're still alive? Well, don't want no insurance claim. There. I wonder if I can kill a car by beating it up like in Street Fighter. Straight throwing bombs. I'm denting it. It counts. Nah, I guess not. Alright, fine. We'll clean it up. Alright. Back to what we're doing.
Think you can push me around?
We need to take the fight to the fanatics. But how?
Let me repair my hammer real quick.
Careful, stranger.
Excuse me. Excuse me. A Union fighter. No name NPC lady. What you move? It's my turn. It's my turn.
I thought we had this fight.
Actually, I wonder if I can... Do I have a repair kit on me? Back there. Repair kit. I do have a repair kit. Never mind. Keep doing what you do. Oh, now she gets off it.
You a merc
As
or
soon as I
something?
walk away, she's like, alright, that's cool. Fucking...
Core systems.
Alright, where we go?
Initializing.
What the fuck?
Yes?
Now you have some person inside you? And vice versa. Okay, I don't think you're the doc. Yeah, we could try talking to them anyways. Now I'm interested. Alright, bro.
You again?
Put a test on.
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
Oh, did I like blow your face apart or something? Back when I was using a shotgun? Actually, I might recognize you because I've only seen one person wear those sandals. Well, that I was paying attention to. There's something really weird about that.
Dude, what is up with this? You can't even do a damn well.
Come on, Whirlwind. Do your stuff, bro. Oh, never mind. He went boom. Ooh. Yeah, Primo Victoria is one of my favorite songs by them.
What?
The Blood and Banaka Burn is gonna be my favorite. Then there's Ailstorm and whatnot. Hey, finally! Rah, rah, Rasputin.
Man, that song, kid.
It's on again. My bad.
I know. That's why I said you and that song.
Oh god. J-Kids, no! They killed J-Kids, the bastards. So he had a bomb just like land next to his truck. And then it like exploded his truck. But mainly the concussion like knocked it sideways. Like that was pretty nice.
Why isn't it working? Oh, I'm so.
Is that a flying boat?
Just remember that exists.
I didn't do it right.
Oh, I missed. I forgot that existed. It's so good. Finally, a reason to have God is drunk kick on every 5 seconds. Why am I not getting the ability to pick this up? Oh, God is drunk. Instantly maximizes it. Boom. Start beating on everybody Goku style. Like I think in Stalker, I forget which one. Oh, look at the bolt. Oh, you wish you had telekinesis like this. Like, god dang. It's funny. What was I saying? I got rudely distracted by myself. Oh, yeah. It like makes you get good or you get dead. I'm just tired.
Get your shit together. We head out in 10.
That place is a fucking death. Yeah, maybe the perfect place for some escaped prisoners to hide out. If they went there, they're probably already dead.
Need some help!
You? The gas mask will not protect your face from bullets. It's exactly what you want not to hit your gas mask, or else what's the point of wearing it? It's ridiculous. These people. Ugh. I was like, I wonder if this is a cinematic or am I actually doing this? Yep, I'm actually doing it. Come on, where is this? Actually feel it though. Kind of. Yeah, that's how we do it.
Y'all are really pushing me today. These magic swords. Kick. Oh, get up. Frustrating. Get on the ground. They're all making the same sound at the same time. Oh, that's creepy. Get up. None of that. Yeah, I was hoping they would have a historical figure in the game, at least when it comes to race in a good way. There's a show which is like 10 episodes, 12 episodes, something like that, and then there's a movie. And Afro Samurai was really well done. Plus, got Sam Jackson as the guy. Man, there's a lot of motherfuckers in here. Nice miss, Roma. Fuck, so many. Hey, super effective. Seriously, this music is awesome. It reminds me of Tekken Tag. Oh, wow. Alright, let me check something. Nope, that's... Okay, I see. I moved this. It did that. Alright, one sec. All right, let's see that. There we go. All right. What's going on, everyone? Move to a new place. Let me know if all the audio is good as we go along. We're going to be doing day 4 of Gamescom, which I was supposed to do last week, but life happened. All right. Let's get right into it. Oh, that's the wrong one, but thanks for trying. Yeah. All right. So, Gamescom, day 4. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the biggest gaming playground in the world, where 500,000 people come together to play, connect, and celebrate across Cologne. 1,500 exhibitors, the biggest names in the gaming industry, bringing countless games for you to explore and dominate. And we're just getting started. Ready to jump into some gameplay? Then get set for Gamescom Opening Night Live, featuring the major announcements and brand new game trailers. Less watching, more playing? Then stop by Gamescom's unique indie area, where you're in control of the most creative and unique projects from beloved indie studios. And if that's not enough, don't miss Gamescom Awesome Indies, our show featuring the hottest new titles from the scene. Or become the hero yourself and step into the Gamescom cosplay contest, bringing cosplayers and fans together from around the globe for an unforgettable community experience. Join live shows, esports tournaments, and creator events at the Gamescom Event Arena. Can't make it to Gamescom in person? Visit our website gamescom.global and experience all program highlights via our content hub, Gamescom Now. While you're there, make your voice count in the Gamescom Award. Vote for the most exciting games, groundbreaking products, and jaw-dropping innovations presented here at Gamescom. Do you remember our incredible friends and gaming experts from IGN? Of course, they're back, hosting full days of Gamescom studio live streams on Twitch and YouTube. Oh, hey, AP, crashing the party. You'll find our all-time favorite RPG Gamescom epics on our website. Join the community and grab your loot. Now moving on to something that is very important to us. Our initiative, Gamescom Cares. We want to shine a light on social and environmental responsibility. In order to reduce Gamescom runs on 100% renewable energy. Just as important,
I realized it wasn't
accessibility is
capturing
key
a part
for
of the
us.
side of the screen.
Gamescom should be a safe,
like, that's
inclusive
weird.
space for everyone.
There you
Speaking
go.
of inclusive spaces, the Gamescom City Festival is taking over the city with live music, awesome shows, and all kinds of fun. Did we mention? Entry to the City Festival is free for everyone. Welcome to the playground. Welcome to Gamescom.
Gamescom 2025 is here. Coming up today,
For the glory of Super X.
brand new episodes of Outside Xbox,
Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch.
Next Gen Console Watch, the IGN UK podcast,
Another big news week, everybody.
and Nintendo
Yeah,
Voice
I am
Chat.
excited about
Day
the
5 of IGN's coverage of Gamescom
Xbox players
2025
that
starts
came to
right now.
Helldivers. I finally got to play Helldivers again
Hello,
like 2 days
and
ago.
welcome to the final day of Gamescom Studio on IGN. I'm Jada Griffin.
And I'm Max Scoville. All week long here at Gamescom, we've been talking to some of the folks making the biggest and best games in the world. We've handed out awards at the Gamescom Award Show, and we've broken down every cool new trailer and reveal that debuted at opening night live.
If you missed any of our coverage, head over to IGN.com and IGN's YouTube channel to catch up on everything.
There's a lot. But today's Gamescom Studio Show is all about podcasts, something that IGN knows a whole lot about. If you're looking for deep, insightful, and occasionally pretty silly long-form conversations about video games, you came to the right place. Today we've got brand new Gamescom Studio episodes of Geek Media shows like Outside Xbox, Nintendo Voice Chat, and Next Gen Console Watch, all here to unpack the biggest video game news here at Gamescom. Plus, I'll be taking a look ahead at September's biggest game releases besides Silksong.
But first up, it's time to hang out with those crazy British dudes on the IGN UK podcast. Cowabunga, check it out.
Hello and welcome to the IGN UK podcast, a show all about the latest video games, movies, and TV shows. I'm Simon Cardy, and this
Wait,
week
are we
I'm
watching
joined by
whole ass
Jesse Gomez.
podcasts
Hello.
on
And
day
Matt
4?
Laszlo. And this week, for
I hope
one week
not.
only, we are actually in living color on the stage of Gamescom because it's a special occasion. We thought, you know, we'd get our faces out. You know, people like to see him. I like to see yours, Matt.
What a rare treat.
I know.
Rare treat.
Isn't it just lovely? Well, we're going to talk a bit about, we're going to pick a game each from the show that we particularly like playing, and then at the end we'll do a little bit of bits and bobs. I don't think there'll be much time to talk about crisps today. That is our kind of topic of choice. It's a shame. We're going to have to talk about video games because Gamescom, it's all in the name, Matt. I'm going to kick things off because I played Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, arguably the biggest surprise reveal from opening night live. And if people don't know what this game is, it's essentially an Arkham game, the Rocksteady games, but in Lego form. And I think that's kind of what people want to see. And I think they'll be happy to know that I played it and I pretty much felt like, yeah, this is an Arkham game, but in Lego form with still that charm. But you know, you've got that cool, like tight Rocksteady combat. Just you're hitting bricks instead of flesh. We all know I like, you know, to hit flesh. But this time we're hitting plastic.
God, we are
We're
barely
deep
minutes
into
in.
the podcast.
Unbelievable.
What would you like to know about Lego Batman?
So, what did you actually experience whilst playing through this game? What was the
That's
scenario?
a good question, Jesse. What did I do? I played a full mission early on from Lego Batman, and it was set in Ace Chemicals. It was me as Batman with Jim Gordon, and we went through Ace Chemicals tracking down Red Hood. If you're familiar with some of the stories from Batman, you might know what happens at the end of that mission. Maybe Red Hood turns into a different villain. If you've read The Man Who Laughs, you'll know what happens. If you've seen Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, you might kind of know what happens. But that's kind of what they're doing with the story of this game. They're kind of creating their own Batman story, kind of using bits and bobs from all other films and comics and games and trying, you know, eventually I was told by the director that this game, Joker may have this origin story, but later on the story may morph into more of the Heath Ledger Joker from The Dark Knight. So you're kind of getting versions of these characters within versions.
I mean, it makes sense for Lego, right? Because Lego is all about pulling bricks together and making your own creations. But it's essentially the bricks of the films, right? And the comics and...
What a lovely little metaphor, man.
Oh, you know.
It almost sounds like the pick and mix of Batman.
It's like, exactly. But I enjoyed it. I also got a little taste of the open world, which I only got to play that for like 8-10 minutes. But I feel like that's where a lot of people's joy will come. I really love Lego Marvel Superheroes, which was a good 10 years ago at least now, and kind of going around that open world and kind of doing, there's Riddler trophies people will be pleased to see, there's secrets to be found, there's Batmobile time trials to do, that's where I feel like a lot of the fun's going to come. The missions themselves, very fun as well, and we can see here there's like a football rolling across. There's that Lego silliness, like you can do the stealth takedowns from like perches, but
it looks like we are getting Adam West Batman Day
land
1,
on
which is
them
great.
right with his arse.
I hope.
That classic Batman. But I wonder,
Yeah,
how close to the Arkham style combat is it?
It's pretty similar. It's not, at least from my play, not going to be as complex. I don't think there's going to be many like intricate button combos.
But you've got the counters, right?
Exactly. As we can see here, you can punch with square if you're on a PlayStation controller, counter with triangle, and then once your meters build up on the left there, you can use R1 to do a finisher. So there's, against grunts, it's pretty standard. Then there's kind of
So it
more
took them
bruiser
4 days to
brawler
figure out how to
enemies, I
turn
thought,
down the
which
sound of
if you
that
play the
loud
Arkham games,
bashing
you'll kind of
sound
be
in the
familiar with how
background.
you fight against them. You want to
This
kind of
actually sounds
ease
pretty
the
light
charge
today
out,
compared
then
to
they'll
the
run at a
other
wall,
3
they'll be
days
stunned,
where
then you
it's
get them
so
for a bit. Or
loud.
you can do like the quick batarang throw, and that'll like, if you played Arkham games, you're kind of into that muscle memory kick to know you how to deal with them. But then there's also the Lego side. This isn't just an Arkham game, right? There's the Lego side where there's the puzzles, so you have to switch between the two characters. Jim Gordon, in his lovely Golden Age outfit I picked for him here, has a little foam cannon that you can shoot at pipes that may be spewing out acid, for example. And that means you can then get through that path and solve the puzzle. So if you played Lego games, if you played Arkham games, I think you'll be instantly right at home here. But yeah.
In terms of like how similar it is to the classic kind of Lego Batman games, does it feel like a new kind of more of a 3D brawler game that uses Lego, or does it have anything in connection to those old, more, the isometric sort of framed kind of Lego games where it was a lot of like smashing things and rebuilding them together?
It does still have that. So as I was going through Ace Chemicals, which is more of a linear level, I was smashing things and building things to like build a big zip line to get across a certain section. And there was also, as I said, the puzzles to be solved, which has been in I think it's 25 years almost now.
Sure.
Or no, 20 years that Lego games have been made since 2005. They've still kind of got that formula. Here I'm, gliding towards Red Hood. Maybe something bad's going to happen to him. I don't know. I've played it. I could tell you, but I'm not going to. We're probably going to watch it anyway.
What I'd like to know is, what is Gordon doing during these? Okay, we just saw he's got his own glider. So is he just always tagging along, or can
he has a little grapple. You're going to be, because if you're, obviously it's a single player game, but also co-op like most Lego games are. So if you're playing as Gordon, you don't want to just be like the other player is just running around,
just
right?
about.
That's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
I know there's not as many characters in it as a traditional Lego game's got, like, let's say 200 characters. Do you feel like, is it 7 characters that there is?
I think I've said 7 playable characters, which I think at first people are like, what? Like a Lego, I think Skywalker Saga had around 400 characters, which is bonkers.
Presumably they have to be more unique, though, to provide different games, because not everyone is Batman, right?
Exactly. There was 400 characters in Star Wars, but I imagine there's 20 to 30 actual different abilities. And I didn't see the same, like, when you normally go through Lego levels, you'd maybe get that feeling of, I need to revisit with new abilities and find out, like, what the secrets are. I wasn't getting that as much, so I think maybe, they are going for the smaller cast, maybe to more ape that Arkham thing of, like, in the Arkham games, you only play as Batman and then occasionally Catwoman, sometimes Harley Quinn. Like, I think they're sticking with the heroes and trying to make it more logical for that hero story. So
maybe to a certain extent a little closer, not to Gotham Knights, in the idea of Gotham Knights obviously didn't pan out to be as great, but each of those characters felt very, very distinct in a way that Lego characters don't traditionally feel that way.
Yeah, and I mean, Jim Gordon can still thump people,
Well, yeah, obviously, got to pull out a little bit of that every now and again, but I'm pleased that he's not throwing batarangs, right? It doesn't make him feel like he's just Batman in a police uniform.
In a poor man's suit.
He has his little foam cannon, like I said. He has his thing. I'm interested to see how it all comes together and how So, like I said, I only got a taste of the open world. I want to see just how expansive it is, how many secrets there are. Because, I don't know, I've been a fan of LEGO games ever since they started, really.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I, like many people, I just want a new Batman, like Rocksteady game, and this is as close as we're going to get for now, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just really excited. I mean, from one plastic Lego bat to maybe one more human-like bat, a vampire bat of sorts. The Blood of Dawnwalker, Matt, is a game that you saw this week at Gamescom. Ex-CD Projekt devs, Rebel Wolves, the studio. How much of The Witcher did you see in this game?
Oh, so much The Witcher, and that is not a disparaging remark at all. This is, as you say, it's a game. It is a lot of people that worked on The Witcher 3, along with some, kind of new developers that have joined them at this studio, Rebel Wolves, and you can pretty much see even like the vibe of like the art style and the graphics has a lot of The Witcher to it.
Watch him
the
get
music,
whacked left and right.
absolutely that kind of Polish sort of Slavic feel that the Witcher 3 had. And yes, it is a fantasy RPG, but there are
But is it going to have the
differences from The Witcher, which I think is going to build on the strengths of that game. So essentially, you play as a guy called Cohen, who is a human during the day, kind of a little bit like Geralt was. He's got some good swordplay, he's quite into magic, but he's not a regular human because at night, he turns into a vampire.
Of course.
So he's stuck between these two. He's a little bit like Blade, I suppose, kind of stuck between two worlds. And when I say that he turns into that at night, that's not like a narrative conceit. The game is literally on a day-night system and a month-long kind of like Persona-style system where the game.
Callisto Protocol did that.
So it is not a
and I
Persona
didn't
game.
like it.
Let's keep it that. But it has certain elements in common. So basically, Cohen's family, for some sort of reason that I don't particularly know yet, but have been taken. Cohen has 30 days across the game to save them. What you do in those 30 days is completely up to you. But time is a currency in this game. So not everything that you do, but certain things will push time forward. And so, for example, the quest this was a very classic CD Projekt style demo that we saw where they played it and they played the quest in 2 different ways for us across an hour. And so basically, in this, Cohen needed to get a special sword. And they showed us that if you do that at night, because he becomes a vampire, he has all the abilities of a vampire. So he can walk up walls. He can do the plane shifting thing where you can literally walk to the side of a building and walk up it. He can teleport with a blink system. And so while he was doing that, it meant that the sword that they needed to get, which was apparently hidden in this secret catacomb beneath a cathedral.
Of course.
And so basically he used the teleporting to break into the cathedral's library, read about like these secret catacombs, steal a key, and then break into the catacomb. So it was kind of like a stealth sort of scenario, avoiding guards and all of that. Then they rewound time and showed you what it was like in the day, which is where kind of like the concept of spending time became much more clear. Basically, you don't know where these catacombs are, and there's no way to get into the library because it is now more heavily underguarded. But because you're not a vampire with weird-looking teeth, you can talk to humans during the day, and humans are obviously awake.
Is that where more of the RPG elements come in, where you're sort of dealing with like dialogue?
Yeah, I would imagine that it happens at both kind of night and day, but certainly in the day when more people are awake. So anyway, he went to the cathedral and spoke to the deacon there, of which in that conversation you saw how like certain dialogue choices will push time forward. And so what it is a case of is that like, oh, I can dig deeper in this conversation and maybe find more information out, but it's going to push me from kind of like early morning to late morning.
Or you could just go for like a little brief, quick explanation.
Yeah.
I'd say I wasn't expecting The Witcher Shenmue.
Yeah.
but that's what we're getting.
And so basically all of your major quests, when you're pushing the goal of the major quest forward, it is ticking time along. And so basically in the quest that they showed us, we helped out the deacon, which meant going down into another section of a catacomb. Well, actually, we went to an asylum in search of some information for the deacon.
Been to so many places.
Been to so many places.
It gets around.
And then the deacon eventually tells you about these secret catacombs. He gives you the ability to get in there, and then you go down there, find the secret sword. quest over. So 2 different ways you can do it. A bit more of a side questy diplomacy way, or a bit more of a stealth kind of infiltration way.
Narratively, is the character you're playing, is he like a new vampire spawn? Is this something
He
that has
doesn't
just suddenly
He doesn't
appeared?
even know what he is.
Oh, okay.
Imagine that.
There is obviously a prologue.
I wonder if you can customize.
There is a prologue that makes it, and this is what I started
As
talking
much
to the
as it's
developers
fun to
after
have a
this
character you can't
work
customize.
out like how the quests are structured and how this time system works. And basically, at the start of the game, after you've done the prologue, there is something that is a bit close to, you know how Breath of the Wild, when you finish the prologue, you can immediately go to Hyrule Castle and basically go and kill Ganon, but it's going to be really, really difficult for you
I
to do
wouldn't
that.
recommend it.
So that is how this game works. You've got 30 days to save your family. You can go straight to where your family are being held, but presumably
I'm gonna
they're
say the
being
claw combat
hunted down
doesn't
by
look that
about
good.
incredibly difficult vampires. So the idea is
Like,
that you play quests.
It didn't even look like he hit him that hard, and he did like 4 spins.
It's not like quest 1, quest 2, quest 3. There's just a bunch of storylines in the world.
See, like,
and
what is
so
that? It doesn't even look like he
you can
hits him
run
that
out
hard.
of time, obviously, and maybe not do some of those quests. And one of the things they were telling me is the quest that they were showing me ended with Cohen being told, "You are a Dawnwalker. You are half vampire, half human."
Right.
You might never do that quest in the entire game, and Cohen will just never learn who he is.
Do you ever have to like have any concerns of like not showing your true vampiric self during the day? I know there's like night and day shifts and stuff.
So it's not obviously. We've also seen Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines 2 at this, which does have that. Like you have to hide your kind of nature. In this, it's less so because vampires are kind of a bit more present in the world.
Okay.
However, the vampires don't particularly like you, and the more kind of notorious you become through the game, the more you do to annoy them, they'll start building their resistances. There'll be more guards, there'll be more people kind of hunting you.
Right.
There are different, I don't know every system that will come into play, but there are systemic pressures that will maybe force you to maybe take the stealthier route to reconsider.
Okay.
Also, Cohen gets pretty hungry as time goes on, and like you have to feed. He can feed on animals, but it doesn't really sustain his bloodlust very much. If you don't feed him, he might try and feed himself in the middle of conversations. So you might end up just randomly killing really important NPCs.
Oh.
So
we all know how much I'm into this sort of systemic nature.
Yes.
So it's a very narrative kind of focused RPG with all of these very handcrafted quests, but you could just accidentally murder someone that's important to a quest.
I'm personally a little bit peckish myself,
Yeah.
so why don't we take a little break? I might get a little snack, and we will be back very soon for more from the IGN UK podcast at Gamescom 2025.
The average
so it's not
Cinefix movie
actually a
list
podcast.
features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall.
Too far.
Awesome exclusive sweepstakes. IGN.
Oh, that's cool.
And we're back. This is a very special Gamescom episode of the IGN UK podcast. We're live in colour again. Our faces are here. Let's keep the show going, shall we? And talk about 2 of your individual souls' combined passions, which is Resident Evil. You've both played Resident Evil Requiem. Is it looking good?
I mean, I think it's fair to say yes. From the short 15 or so minutes we actually got to play.
The demo's wicked.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being able to... So the demo takes place in what appears to be some sort of like abandoned hospital, from what we understand.
Yeah, it's like a medical facility.
Yeah. You wake up as Grace Ashcroft strapped to some sort of gurney, blood being pumped out of you, and then now you need to escape. But I think what's interesting with Resident Evil Requiem, and I know that our colleague Dale, who can't be here right now, spoke about this in his preview, is that the shift in perspective from first to third person. And I think what I found really, really cool about that is that it's actually tailored to sort of what perspective you're playing as. So like, if you're going through first person and you're running away from, the big, disgusting, nasty chasing you, then that's going to control exactly as you would expect. But when you're playing in third person, suddenly Grace is going to be, tripping over herself, bumping into different things.
Yeah, I think the thing is obviously first and versus third person is like a fairly continuing debate among the Resident Evil fans. 7 and 8 obviously very distinctly in first person.
I like first person.
Working on that PT amnesia style horror. Whereas and obviously the DLC for Resident Evil Village put in the ability to switch to third person.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like the next evolution of that, where kind of like I think regardless of whether you liked the classic third person or you're into first, it feels like the game is tailored for that approach, which must be a lot of work, because I know that when we've spoken to developers in the past about offering both perspectives, it's a difficult thing to do. And like you say, completely bespoke animations in third person and kind of like bespoke, I guess, kind of like the way it frames things when you're from first person, which is my preferred way to play. I found that
it sounds like they
this
just
demo
learned
is
the word
essentially
bespoke.
you're in a corridor being chased by a stalker.
I was going to say that. This is the first time I've actually seen a glimpse of this unfortunately looking creature, woman. I don't know who she is, what she is. I don't think we know what this stalker enemy is. What the hell is going on with her?
So there's some rumors that it could be Lisa Trevor. But I think that's just Resident Evil fans getting excited that there's, a big spooky stalker. But we don't know much about what is chasing us, other than she or they is afraid of light.
Yeah.
So that
So
sort of ties
are we
into
playing,
that
I
actual,
wonder,
the
as
classic
the
Resident Evil
kid
safe room, where
of
we are
Winners?
bouncing from room to room, but then traditionally, when you've seen Nemesis or Mr. X or anyone else try to approach a safe room, they'll do like, a little comical shuffle in and then they'll just back out. But with the stalker enemy in this, when she actually approaches the light, her skin burns away. And I feel like that's just sort of a really fun, like sort of gameplay grounded way of making it
She's
seem
got
like
lovely big feet. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, like, let's explain the visual. For people not watching, just listen. What does she look like? Because I'm struggling to explain what.
Disgusting gremlin that's far taller than
but
yourself.
Like 9 foot tall.
My description of it is if you injected Gollum with Bane's super serum.
I can see that, but also what looks like a very tattered cloth.
A bit Dobby's kind of like pillowcase.
It reminds me quite a bit of the horrible thing in Barbarian.
That's actually not too far off. And we get introduced to her when a corpse falls out of a cupboard, and then
she bites the head of the corpse
But that's
off.
the thing. I started this demo in third person, but then it put me into the first person perspective for that cutscene. I thought that was a really smart choice.
It knows which perspective to use to give the because some cutscenes are done in third, so if you're in first person it pulls the camera out of your head. But the stalking side of it, obviously we all know that I'm obsessed with Alien Isolation, and it does feel that like with each iteration of stalking enemies, Rez is kind of trying to push for something that's a little closer to that. So for example, she can burst through doors. She can, if you kind of like manage to get away from her, she can essentially climb up into a crawl space above the ceiling and then drop down in
How big are these crawl spaces? Just the size of a house?
Well, yeah, I mean
Resident Evil like houses are traditionally massive anyway, so who knows who designed this?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've seen people comparing it, and just from me watching this footage for the first time, I am seeing a bit of that PT, almost a bit of Silent Hill in there. This is obviously a demo. I don't know if this is going to be in the final game, what's being seen here. Very much the survival part of survival horror. Not seeing much of the action side of Resident Evil. Do you think that's being kept from us at the moment?
Yeah, I can imagine so, just because obviously we've primarily been seeing Grace's perspective in first person, but I can imagine preferably the action elements of Resident Evil, typically over the shoulder third person, like in the Resident Evil 4 remake. And I can imagine they're holding off for now. Who knows who's going to be joining Grace in her adventures, but I can imagine it might be someone like Leon, considering we've seen, destroyed remnants of the RPD station.
My feeling is that it's either a demo, and I would hope these sections are in the game. But this is House Beneviento style stuff. I feel like the moment-to-moment Resi experience is almost certainly still going to be Resi, right?
Also, whoever's playing is really bad at the game.
Figuring out how to get your herbs, keeping all your ammo in a box.
I don't know if they're just trying to show off that you can get bit this many times. Holy crap.
This will be the thing that breaks up the flow.
What is your favourite herb?
I mean, you know what? Red goes well with a lot of different herbs. So
I was talking more just in culinary.
I'm locked into
I'm a rosemary guy.
Oh, there you go.
Put some rosemary on some. No, sage. No, a little bit too on the heavy savoury side for me. Oregano's good.
Should we talk about more games?
Yeah.
I played a game called Hollow Knight Silksong. People have been waiting for it.
I heard that Dale headbutted someone so hard to play Silksong he couldn't get on that.
I was going to say next week. Dale was meant to be this podcast, but he headbutted a wardrobe.
Yeah,
So
he's got a massive ouchie boo-boo
So
with a humongous
Jesse has kindly
Band-Aid.
stepped in, and I think done a stellar job so far.
Thank you.
But yeah, Hollow Knight Silksong. It's a lovely little Souls-like Metroidvania. If you don't know what Hollow Knight is, where have you been? I mean, it's a good game, beautiful art style. I finally got to play it after, what, 6 to 7 years of waiting?
I think there's 6-7 years of waiting in a
Well,
line.
I
because they were
waited
humongous.
over an hour in the queue to play for 20
Yeah.
minutes. It's like, I don't mean this in a bad way. It's more Hollow Knight, and that's good.
That means
There
I'm
are-
going to struggle. I can't do the
You
jumps in
can't
Hollow
platforming,
Knight.
can you?
No.
Do you know what, though? You might like this one more because it's kinder. You can now mantle on the edges.
Oh,
So
excellent.
you
That's actually a game changer. I do
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
that.
It's very good. I don't want to spot. It's out in like less than 2 weeks now
Yeah.
for people. I played a couple of the sections. I played the first level of the game, which was called Moss Grotto, and that was like simple. That was very much a reintroduction to Hollow Knight, the platforming. At that point, I only had just the sort of like the needle and a jump ability, and took down the first boss. Then I jumped into a later area called Deep Docks, which was much more complex in design.
Right.
It was like the labyrinthine design you'd expect from Hollow Knight. A lot of mechanical elevators and levers to try and get around. I had one go at that boss called Lace, who was like this sort of like balletic sword dancer. Tried it once, didn't get very far. That's going to be difficult. I think I've heard people say this one feels more difficult. It's so hard for me to say from this like little section, but I do like I do like the feel of it. I like that Hornet, the new protagonist, is kind of bigger in the frame. You feel more imposing, whereas the last game did feel more like a fight for survival at every opportunity.
Yeah,
This one felt a bit more like I can go toe-to-toe a little bit
Okay,
more.
yeah. I mean, like, the art style is so it's completely timeless. And I absolutely love the first few hours of Hollow Knight, and then the moment you've got to jump over spikes, it becomes a little bit too much. But I'm terrible at 2D platforming.
Let's get through more of these games. Who wants Matt?
Hello.
The Expanse.
Yeah.
I've
New
heard
house,
it's pretty large,
well,
but
new apartment, but yeah.
how much mass effect is there?
God, yeah. So this is Owlcat's new game, and they obviously traditionally have made isometric RPGs.
Yes.
This is massive. Like, they completely are open to the fact that they're building on the idea of Mass Effect, and
I do like that's a theme this year. We're kind of getting
sort of
games from
making.
developers like, well, they're not giving you what you want, so
Yeah.
we'll give you a version of it.
Yeah, and this is it's a 3D combat kind of forward RPG, lots of conversation, kind of like, you know, it's obviously based in the Expanse. It's set parallel to kind of the first couple of books. Uses the TV's art style, and so it is a hard
excited for
sci-fi kind of game, which means you're not going to get the space wizards, which has me questioning a little bit, like, will the combat just purely be guns? Because what they were showing us was just assault rifle, and you do get the rocket grenade. Have you seen the rocket grenades in the
I
Expanse?
haven't had a look, no.
The idea is so you can actually fight in not zero G but very low gravity situations. So there was a section they were showing us where like you're mag locked onto the side of a spaceship, space station, and fighting. But it means that obviously when you throw a grenade, the grenade would just float off.
Yeah,
if it
of
was
course.
So grenades in the Expanse have rocket thrusters on them, so they just propel themselves towards enemies.
It looks absolutely lovely, but I think more importantly, what I'd like to know is, do I need to have that prior knowledge of what this world is to go in?
So I am a casual fan of The Expanse, and my memory of those kind of early seasons are fading, but I did recognize certain situations that they were talking about. It takes place in the aftermath of the Eros incident, which is a big part of like season 1, and you hear about like the Canterbury being attacked. I think the idea is this is also a gateway into the Expanse. It is its own story, and those events are just in the peripheries. And so I think like it will have its own crew. It's like imagine if Mass Effect was on the side of a set of books that you didn't know existed.
Yeah, fair enough.
You've kind of, well, the comparisons have been made by everyone to Mass Effect, and you mentioned combat, but that's not really what I come to Mass Effect for. It's fine in Mass Effect, but it's really the relationships between characters, it's the story writing, it's the quests. Do you get a glimpse of just if that's going to be up to par in this?
I think that's what it needs to prove. I'm sort of expecting it to deliver because Owlcat is very good at this. Their games are like books in that like you spend a huge amount of time with it. This is a shorter game than they like Rogue Trader and Pathfinder. They're all kind of like 100-hour RPGs.
Yeah.
This is going to be more around the same length as Mass Effect, kind of like a 30-hour RPG, but in a 1-hour demo, there's only so much you can know. They only showed me one companion, which I thought was quite cool. It was a guy called Jay, who is your sibling, and so therefore their character model is based on the character you create in character creation.
That's really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
But the writing at that point didn't feel like it was, at the highs of Mass Effect or even Owlcat's previous RPGs. But
it's hard to experience that in a demo format.
In a demo that's only an hour and mostly was to do with demonstrating the combat and choices. The Expanse is colder than Mass Effect, and not necessarily known for its very lovable characters, but they're always very complex, politically driven characters. My hope is that over the campaign you would get to that point. You'd love the characters even if they're not lovable.
Well, people will get to play that at some point in the future. Jesse, you played something that people only at Gamescom would have got to try, I believe, which is an absolutely bonkers-looking rig for the game PVKK. You're a man who has a place in his heart for Steel Battalion. Are you getting a little bit of that from it?
100%, and I think PVKK goes beyond what everyone loved about Steel Battalion, because not only is it got, and you can see it on screen here, it was a humongous controller setup.
You can buy the
with, I think it had
controller.
over 160 individual buttons and switches you could just mess around with.
Give me the files for 3D
What's the full
printing.
name of the game again?
I'm not even going to attempt. It's impossible. I wasn't able to do it then. I'm not going to be able to do it now. But if you don't know what PVKK is, you take control of a planetary defense cannon. You get calls from your commandant every single day. You live in what is essentially a little office desk conjoined with a massive planetary defense cannon. It's almost got sort of like 40K aesthetics as well with what you're dealing with. But you get random little calls from your commandant and it says, okay, today we might have 3 or 4 invading dropships coming to attack us. We need you to blow them up. And then it's your choice whether you want to actually listen to your commandant or not. And then that's where the sort of like papers, please, moral dilemmas take place. Because if you did decide to destroy the aliens, then you're going to get points back. You're going to be able to upgrade your station, but maybe the next day you might get a note from the alien forces.
But what's all this like when you actually physically get to press buttons and wind like?
I mean, it's fantastic, especially in the early game where everything is still so mechanical. You're going to have to, prime, load, just do every little bit and bob, and if you get it a little bit wrong, then suddenly you're gonna have to restart, and then you're gonna have to like take out the fuses and start repairing. It's so tactile.
So when you say they're taking out the fuses, did this new rig they built at Gamescom require you to actually slot fuses into it?
Well, they made it a little bit easier, but in the actual base game, if you like overload your power, then suddenly things are gonna pop out, things are gonna break, you're gonna have to repair, and then suddenly you're dealing with these invading forces. There's a lot to deal with.
I mean, I did say we wouldn't talk about it, but we kind of have to. The biggest thing when we come to Germany. What is the best thing you ate this week?
We found a pretty good noodle place, in which I only ate rice because I don't actually like noodles.
Just plain rice?
No, with some very good crispy chicken and stuff.
To be fair, I absolutely destroyed pork belly while I was here. not quite pork knuckle. I'll leave that for next year. But some nice pork belly. That sorted me
I
right
had
out.
my first pork knuckle in about 6 years. It was all right. It wasn't too big. Wasn't too large.
Have you found any like unusual snacks in your supermarket rendezvous?
No, we tend to just stick to our Ritter Sports, don't we? We're very like just.
I bought 9 bars.
You bought 9 yesterday, which is quite excessive.
They're
Which one are you
British.
most
They
looking
don't
forward
really
to
eat
tucking in?
interesting
Well,
food.
that new one that's based on like their crispy rolls. Like those old kind of like
We aren't
Mars crispy
sponsored
rolls.
by Ritter Sport. We're just
If you've listened to our podcast before, this is usually how it ends up
3 years
being.
ago, I dropped a Ritter Sport on a roof. Do you remember that?
What, during recording a podcast?
Yeah,
know
no,
that
that's
it
the.
does that.
Unfortunately, there were no Ritter Sports in our
Just
hands.
like deleted my arm.
Yeah, but there we go. That is it
Thinks
for
it's
a
the
very
background.
rare look at our faces on the IGN UK podcast. Remember that the IGN UK podcast is an IGN production and part of the Geek Media Network. We'll be back on Friday, our normal schedule, to talk more about what we saw at Gamescom, and we've got plenty more coming up on Gamescom Studio. So yeah, don't go anywhere. Thank you.
I am once again here at the Borderlands 4 booth at Gamescom 2025, and honestly, it's kind of hard to miss.
I wish I had the money to travel to a place like that, just because it looks cool. Like, that's a whole PC.
Borderlands 4 marks the return of the iconic looter shooter franchise, and this time it's got a darker and grittier tone.
The hidden world of Kairos has been under the rule of the Timekeeper for thousands of years, and he's manipulated the population to the point where they have cybernetic implants called bolts. Then a rogue moon teleported into Kairos' orbit, exposing the world and sending it into complete chaos. The Timekeeper locked down the city and sent his commanders to deal with the fallout of this cataclysmic event while he watches over the planet from the safety of his tower. Those commanders include Callus, the Ripper Queen, who rules over the shattered lands of Carcadia Burn and denounces the Timekeeper's mind-controlling methods. The hulking idolater Sol, who terrorizes the rolling hills of the Fade Fields and remains loyal to the Timekeeper, and Vile Lictor, overseer of the Terminus Range's frigid peaks. All this is to say, the people of Kairos are tired of being under the Timekeeper's rule, and that's where you and your friends come in. Playing as Vault Hunters, you'll be in charge of lighting the spark of this revolution, teaming up with new and returning characters like Claptrap and Moxie, and of course collecting tons of weapons with ludicrous firepower along the way. As you travel Kairos, make sure you keep an eye out for points of interest you can claim for your Crimson Resistance, weakening the Timekeeper's grip on the planet. Once you've wiped out any nearby enemies, you can reclaim places like safe houses to expand your fast travel options, or silos with decommissioned Order communications balloons that let you take to the sky, scope out your next target, and aid your search for elusive vault key fragments. You can check it all out when Borderlands 4 comes to PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S on September 12th, and it's coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on October 3rd of 2025. Now, if you'll excuse me.
The Cinefix Top 100. I find
Tube has been necessary kind of world. Entire Steam. Check it out. Missing and for sure.
You're watching Gamescom Studio on IGN. Once again, Xbox has a huge presence here at Gamescom, the biggest video game convention on Earth. To break down all the biggest Xbox game reveals here at the show, let's check in with the Outside Xbox podcast for a very special episode coming up right now.
Hello and welcome back to Gamescom 2025. I'm Jane Douglas from Outside Xbox. This is Mike Channel from Outside Xbox.
Hi.
And this is Ellen Rose from Outside Xbox.
Hello.
While everyone was looking the other way, we got ourselves into the stage, and
stuck
now it's ours.
Shh, don't tell them.
I'm never leaving. This sofa's too comfy.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about the very best of what's here at Gamescom 2025. But first of all, a little shout out to our good friend and colleague Andy Farrant, who couldn't be here.
Yes.
Hi, Andy.
He's holding down the fort back home. No one's getting in that fort.
No.
Protect the fort, Andy. Thank you. Right, how is your Gamescom going?
Amazing, yeah. Real sensory overload. I think it's sort of fair to say that Gamescom's like truly back this year.
Yeah, I think so.
I know a lot of people who went last year and had a really good time and saw lots of stuff, but I feel like it's just another level this year. So many games, so many people, so many familiar faces for us, you know, as people who've been around the block a few times. But yeah,
Hey.
I certainly have at least. I won't speak for anyone else. But yeah, it's an amazing show, and yeah, it really feels like the full force of the industry is behind it now.
Yeah.
Having a good time?
Yeah, the vibes are back. It's nice seeing everyone getting excited and like just seeing all the games, all the booths, and just being like, oh yeah, cool, things to look forward to. And yeah.
For someone who's not been to Gamescom, just to set the scene, how would you describe the show?
I would describe it as sensory overload.
Yes, you did
but
do that.
video game flavored sensory overload. So there's some amazing booths. You know, you go over to the Netflix booth and they've built an entire like One Piece pirate ship. You know, there's themed stuff for all these games. This sort of, as a public show, you know, rather than just a press focused thing, it's sort of thematic and experiential in a way that I think you have to kind of come and experience. Just the sheer scale of it, you know, if you're into Borderlands, there's an enormous sort of Borderlands logo that you can pose in. There's all these different sort of, there's a Silent Hill F sort of experiential thing going on.
Just over there.
Yeah.
I'm too scared.
I'm way too
It's boxed in. We don't know what's going on in there.
What could they possibly be doing to
Some
people
kind
in
of
there?
scare ride.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, you know, certainly in Europe, there's nothing like it. And I know Gamescom is sort of expanding around the globe as well, to places like Thailand and things like that.
Yeah.
So, but it, you know, it just, if you're a fan of games and you want to celebrate your hobby, I think it's an astonishing place to be.
Not games, but at the Netflix booth where they've got the One Piece ship that you mentioned, where the ocean's made out of Lego because it's
Yes,
right
because
next
there's a
to
Lego One Piece
Lego
game,
One
which
Piece
is
also.
incredible. Yeah.
But they had a Wednesday claw machine.
Yes.
And I love a claw machine.
Given the opportunity, you'd spend the entirety of Gamescom
That's
probably
my
there
video
trying to.
game. But anyway, Andy also loves Wednesday, so we were
trying to win him, mate.
thinking.
But claw machines have other ideas.
Yeah, we didn't win it. We didn't win a single thing.
3 goes, nothing.
All right, now on to the actual games.
Yes.
Mike.
Let me tell you about Project Spectrum, right? So this was, I think it's fair to say, one of the big surprises of the ONL show, opening night live. We hadn't heard anything about it previously. It is a horror tactical shooter with asymmetrical multiplayer elements. So it's built by Team Jade, who are a Chinese development team. It's sort of published by Tencent, but I think as sort of debuts go, it was a super memorable, super glossy, super atmospheric kind of horror shooter. So modern kind of combat weapons, like you'd expect from a Call of Duty or similar, but with kind of horrifying enemies and set in this big sort of atmospheric haunted house mansion in the rain. I think it made a big impression, and I actually, as a bit of behind the scenes, the people looking after that from a PR perspective got in touch about a week ago and said, hey, you should really come and look at this. And it feels like the sort of best kept secret on the show floor. One of the things I love about these kind of shows when you meet sort of friends and colleagues within the industry is where you have this sort of like industry scuttlebutt where people are like, have you seen this game? It's super exciting. And I think you can see it on the screen here, this sort of
I kind of want to play.
Almost like Alan Wake, Silent Hill, sort of misty forest. What it reminds me of is games like Fear. Do you remember Fear as a sort of horror tactical shooter, but crossed with kind of Rainbow Six Siege style action? So yeah, hugely impressive debut at ONL, bit of buzz around it, and we've actually seen it being played live in front of us. So we haven't had hands-on, but we have seen the developers themselves playing a sort of true asymmetric multiplayer match. So what you can see here is this sort of these kind of PvE elements, so these apparitions and things like that. So there is a very strong PvE element, but there's also this creature called the Executioner, which I'm sure you'll see later on, which is this sort of... Have you seen the game Carrion with its kind of weird motion
and a little bit like the Mimics of Prey
yes,
as well.
It's got that sort of vibe. So there is a player playing as that Executioner creature and stalking you around the thing. But as you can see, I mean, like,
hello.
This is spooky as enough.
We've got mannequins.
It's not a horror game until there's a mannequin.
Things falling off the wall. So like these little scripted sequences and stuff. One of the things I think is quite cool is it has a sort of a meter measuring your kind of mental well-being and mental state. And there are a lot of games that kind of do that, and it's almost always just a negative thing when your quote-unquote sanity level drops below a certain threshold. But what the developers were telling us when we went to see the game was that actually, in certain circumstances, this sanity system can actually work in your favor. So there are certain characters and classes where having a lower level of sanity will actually make you more effective in combat. So it's a really interesting balance. It's like, how do you want to play it? Do you want to play as one of those people who stays super safe and tries to maintain their sort of, their fear level?
Okay.
Or do you want to like sail close to the wind and really allow it to drop? The problem is as you allow that level to drop, you will be attacked by sort of apparitions. I mean, this stuff's scary enough
For
already.
example.
Yeah.
But these sort of shadowy figures will appear in this
Blast them
real
in the
sort
brain.
of like, sleep paralysis apparition.
Yeah, that was
vibe.
the exact vibe, yeah.
And they will attack you. They can physically attack you.
Huh.
But what they were saying was that there might be things like shortcuts in the environment that you can't see when you're, when your mental level is kind of hunky-dory. But as you descend more into the kind of madness of what's going on, shortcuts may open themselves up to you and things like that. So I just thought the environments were super slick. The enemy design looks really, really creepy. And obviously the asymmetric stuff, which we'll see shortly, is super appealing as well. Obviously it's got that kind of like co-op shooter vibe. Again, very inspired by things like Rainbow Six Siege, but also the novel Solaris apparently was a big inspiration in that kind of psychological horror, according to the developers of the game.
It's a highfalutin reference.
Yeah,
there.
well, I like it, and I think culturally, there's there's been a big divide, I think, in video games, like West and East divide in terms of developers and things. But obviously, we're seeing a lot more games coming from the West. Black Myth, Wukong,
From the
obviously,
East.
yeah, exactly. Sorry, from the East to the West.
Yeah.
And so they don't necessarily have the same influences. What we can see here is the Executioner character. It's a real sort of Lovecraftian horror monster. What you'll have noticed in this gameplay is how powerful and fast this creature is, and I did ask them about how it was going to play because it seemed like this thing was massively overpowered. And what they were saying was actually, to a degree, there's a kind of loadout system with that creature, so you'll build it the way you want to play it as well. But what they were showing us was it in one of its fastest and most aggressive forms. But there are other forms of that will be kind of stealthier and more about stalking the other player characters. So there's going to be variety there. I did ask them if they were ever planning on adding, because that's quite a distinctive character design in terms of the tentacles and things. I did ask them if they were considering other sort of horror-inspired designs, and they said nothing planned yet, but it's obviously something they've thought about as well.
And on the campaign side, did they speak on that?
So what they said was that there are sort of two. You're actually not just playing a single character. You're playing what they describe as an operator. So it was difficult to get full details because they didn't want to talk a lot about that stuff. I guess it's still in development. But what it reminded me of was XCOM. That idea that you recruit your troops and you select which ones you think will operate best in battle, and then you send those agents out. So it's operator is the kind of overarching mode, and agents are the characters that are out in the field. And so you'll be recruiting them. I assume there'll be a sort of budget that needs to be sort of balanced. And you'll send them out into what they describe as these ember zones. So it's this anomalous event has happened, and these areas have become sort of off limits to the general public, and you're sending it. It's sort of like Ghostbusters with M16s, basically. And so yeah, you will be playing not just the on the ground stuff, but you will be also, dictating how, as a sort of organization, this stuff is handled. So interesting take on it, definitely. Other stuff they mentioned was there's a crafting system, a kind of quick crafting system. So you'll have seen in the gameplay demo, at one point the character pulls a rag out of a Molotov and wraps it around a shovel to create a sort of flaming shovel.
Okay.
So they want to have that kind of inventive crafting thing, but it's got to be something that you can do on the fly in the middle of a terrifying firefight when you're scared out of your mind.
When you're teetering on the brink
On
of
the brink
edge
of-
of insanity.
Yes.
All right, one to watch. Any word on a release date on that one?
No, we asked about that. They said there's still lots of work to do. This is obviously like a sort of what they describe as a vertical slice, so a kind of flavor of what the game will be like. But obviously we were very impressed by how polished it was. But they said they've got a lot of work to do. They're desperate to get it into the hands of players, and I think they've been really heartened by the response to it at ONL as a sort of debut of their game. So they're very excited, but I think it's a little ways out, but what a strong showing.
And that was Project Spectrum.
That was Project Spectrum.
Okay, now next on the agenda here at Gamescom 2025, the three of us, we nipped over and played some of the Xbox handhelds.
Yes.
The ROG Xbox Ally X and
Correct.
the ROG Xbox Ally
Not
no
X.
Xless.
Yes.
All right.
Xless sounds so weird, but yeah, okay.
All right, we're not calling it that. Microsoft's not calling it that. Actually, just before we sat down just recently, actually, Microsoft confirmed the date.
Yes.
So that's October the 16th for the release date on
Very
both
exciting.
of those. Yet to confirm the pricing, although the scuttlebutt is $900
The rumor is that, yes.
for the fancy one.
Yes.
And $550 for the slightly less fancy one, which
Yeah.
is chonky.
But reflective of the performance of these devices, right? I think perhaps if you're used to your handhelds being, Nintendo Switch or maybe even Steam Deck, these are, lower priced handhelds, but there are these kind of super powerful PC-based handhelds that have existed, like the original ROG Ally. And these are phenomenally performant bits of kit, essentially. And so the Ally X
Why are
in
you
particular,
calling it
I think, is
kit?
going to be.
Man,
I
I
think
hate
we were
the way
saying
British
it's
people talk
about
sometimes.
the price of 2 Nintendo Switch 2s.
Right.
But having played it, I was quite impressed by what we played. I played a
I'm
bit
good
of
on the
Forza
handhelds.
Horizon 5 on there. It was buttery smooth. Looked really, really nice on
It
that
did.
screen.
It did, yeah.
And so you're really paying for, I think, current gen games to be played in a handheld form factor, which, you know, in terms of the generations of video games before this, that has not been something that's been possible, right?
Ellen, you were playing Liza P.
Yeah.
On the Xbox, the X one, the fancy one.
The fancy one, yeah.
Okay, the black one.
Yeah.
How'd you find it?
It looked so crisp. It looked like, because part of that game's, you know, the wonderful thing about that game is just like the art style and how pretty it looks. And it did look pretty on that screen, and it played well. Like, it's so important to, you know, it's all about timing, those kind of Souls-like games. And I felt like it was very responsive, and yeah, it just, like, his hair, you know, his hair never looked so good. You
His
know?
Chalamet hair.
His Chalamet hair. Yeah.
On point, okay. And
Yeah.
form factor-wise, it was roughly as tall as Mike's
My head,
is.
maybe a little taller.
So
yeah.
it's large. It's large
Yeah.
and in charge. And what do you make of the weight?
It was way lighter than I was expecting. Now, obviously there's a difference between playing something for 5 minutes and how heavy it feels then versus playing for an hour.
Playing on your back with like it.
Exactly, yeah. And not dropping on
Not
your face.
falling on your face.
But yeah, I was surprised when you looked at it. It's obviously like physically quite large compared to, say, a Switch 2. But in terms of weight, I was surprised by how lightweight it was, actually. I think it was going to be more comfortable for long gaming sessions than perhaps I anticipated. The ergonomics of it feel pretty good. I think the only thing I would say from my perspective is that the triggers are super comfortable because they're extremely large triggers. So they're really comfortable. Your finger kind of sits on them quite comfortably. But I would say it's a little bit of a reach to the shoulder buttons. You know, on an Xbox controller, you can actually hit the shoulder buttons just by leaning, like almost rolling your finger onto them. You can't really do that on the ROG Ally. So that's the only ergonomic note. It's not really a problem per se, but it's something to
He's
bear
just
in mind.
a weirdo.
But it's got those big wings, so I think
Like, who
a lot of
rolls
people
their
find
finger
the
to press the
Switch 2 too
RB?
slim.
Like, you're such
and
a
indeed
weirdo.
the Switch 1 as well. And it gives them that kind
Just
of
press
like
the
gamer's
button.
claw sort of like hand cramp. I think the sort of curved wings, which include rumble as well, I think will make it quite a comfortable thing to play.
I hadn't clocked the light up rings around the thumbstick
Yes.
with the various
Like
colours.
what I've
and
always
you
said
reckon
is
they're gonna
that
customise
gamers
more
with
things?
Yeah,
bigger
I think
hands, we
based
like
on gaming
Xbox and
laptops
Xbox
and
controllers
I would
and
expect
64
things
stuff like that.
Yeah, you'll
Gamers
be
with
able to
smaller
go into-
hands,
there'll be an
like all
ROG
those other
toolbox
tiny
of some
controllers
sort
like
where you can go and
PlayStation and
customize
whatnot.
those. If you have a particular shade or aesthetic you're going for, it's sort of the one thing that kind of reminds you that this is actually like a PC product first and foremost. And actually, the games we were playing were not playing in a kind of Xbox compatibility mode. What we were playing were the PC versions of those games. And that is, I guess, that's a point of contention or something that needs to be cleared up, is how Xbox native games play and perform on this piece of hardware. Now, obviously, if the PC version runs brilliantly, you can assume it's got the grunt and the sort of power to play these games effectively. But it's all about how that translation layer, you know, the key appeal of this is something that will play your Xbox games, not just PC games, on the go.
All right.
And we're yet to see that.
We are yet to see that. Right, that's the ROG Xbox
Ally
X, or without the X,
not X.
here at Gamescom. And now we're going to take just a moment to kick back and enjoy the sumptuous premium sofas here on the stage. We'll be right back after the break, and we're going to talk about Kirby Air Riders, outside Xbox's 13th birthday, and a whole bunch more from Gamescom 2025. We're not going away, so don't you go away either.
Hey you! Looking for a way to wear your fandom with pride? The IGN store is the ultimate destination for awesome merch and collectibles from the biggest games, movies, shows, and everything in between. Cruise the wasteland in style with a Vault Dweller hoodie and replica Pip-Boy. Kick back and relax to some of the best game soundtracks ever pressed on limited edition vinyl. Or level up your whole wardrobe with a massive selection of an enter scoop and a voice rumor.
It's kind of world. We don't know what reason. Surprise me at your
Welcome back to the stage here at Gamescom 2025. We're having a lovely time here up on the stage in IGN's glass box of gaming wonders. Thanks for having us, IGN. Now, Gamescom Mike.
Yes.
Just before we proceed, is
I don't know
it's
why I
a
didn't say
special
that when they
occasion for
literally
Outside
work for
Xbox
IGN.
as a
Always.
YouTube channel, is it not?
Yeah.
It is an anniversary because Outside Xbox was founded.
Yes.
Was begun, was birthed.
Yeah.
Here at a Gamescom, correct?
Yes. Yeah, so I moved from Official Xbox Magazine. My final day was the day before Gamescom, and my first day on Outside Xbox was the first day of Gamescom. So literally launched directly into it.
Flew straight to Cologne.
Yeah, genuinely flew straight, went from my leaving do straight to the airport to Cologne. So that was my that's my supervillain origin story.
Yeah, but to Andy, who again, missing Andy.
Yeah.
He'd been kind of like setting things up for.
Yeah, he'd been working away for a couple of weeks on getting everything set up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Gamescom is very special for us, and it's really nice to be back actually, because yeah, that was our first sort of wide-eyed like launch, and it was really nice as a new channel to be able to meet a bunch of different developers and see a bunch of games, and then have a bunch of content to really start strong. And so a show like Gamescom was the perfect place for that.
All right, happy birthday, Outside Xbox.
Happy birthday.
Right, now back to the games.
Yes.
Okay. Ellen, you've played Kirby Air Riders. You watched the 45 minutes Nintendo Direct on Kirby Air Riders. What can you tell us about Kirby Air Riders?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I got a hands-on with Kirby Air Riders, and the one word that I would use to sum it up is chaos.
Okay.
Is chaotic, but in the best way. So like for people who haven't played the series, and I found the Direct extremely useful because it told me how to play the game. They were like, it's basically Mario Kart, but also it's not Mario Kart. Don't play it like Mario Kart, otherwise you will crash all the time.
Direct quote from the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
It's basically Mario Kart. Which
is a strong, yeah, everyone do that.
Fair.
So yeah, and so we're seeing some footage here. So basically, the only control you need to worry about is going left and right. Don't push forward because you will steer yourself down into the ground. And then you use the B button to basically kind of like drift in and then push hard out of corners.
Okay.
And it's all about building up your speed boosts. And then here as well, you're collecting various weapons and power-ups and stuff that you can use around the course. And so what's exciting as well for people who played the original game is there's a ton of new Kirby characters in there, because previously it was like basically Kirby and like one other.
Like this guy with the super spicy.
Yeah, with super spicy, he's just like throwing food at people and making things explode. I mean, brilliant. And little mushrooms, like got extra protection with that, and it's great. You just everything is absolute chaos. And so I wish so my little hands-on. We didn't do much of the actual racing. So there's like another mode within the Air Riders, but you've got like a city that you sit in, you go around and you collect. There's like a round where you just go hog wild and collect as many power-ups as you possibly can, and then you're thrown into a mini game. And depending on all the power-ups that you've picked up, that is what sort of determines what minigame that you would be best at. And so like you get to like 4 things that you can choose, and it's like, oh, should you go for this one because you're more powerful, like go for one where you can like really like beat everyone up, or hey, you've got more flying skills, do a flying thing. So like, and I did that, and it's the round before. So here we go. Yeah, the urban district here. You're riding around and you're just smashing things up, collecting all these power-ups, and it's absolute chaos. It's absolute chaos. How
many people were you playing with?
So I had 4 other journalists like playing with us, and then a bunch of CPU characters.
Okay.
And also, as you're gathering up all of these power-ups, you can just absolutely rinse each other out, like blowing things up. There was a thing that I kept picking up, the spike ball, and you throw a spike ball, and it just like you can smash other players to bits with it. There's all these power-ups and everything. You're trying to prevent other people from picking up all of these power-ups so that you can have the edge when it comes to the next round of the minigame. But like playing it, I really felt like so yeah, this is the melee version, and this feels like a game that is easy to learn but hard to master, because I was like you know, they're like, oh, it's only one button. It's only one button, and then you go left and right. It's fine. And I was just like, I think I'm doing this right. I was just like going into walls, and then I came out of it like, oh, I won. Great.
You won.
Oh my god. I
Well, you
won
were
one of the
doing it right
things.
then.
Yeah. Like one of them, I got like the most like power-ups at the end of it, and I
Okay.
was just like, I was just going for it. But yeah, I improved. My first one, I only got 25 power-ups. Second one, I got like 79 power-ups. So I like worked out. I'd broken the system. But I think, yeah, Kirby Air Riders, like fans of the original game, are going to be extremely happy with this, because this is just like layers upon layers more than the previous game, especially with all these extra bits. And it's like the gourmet race.
Tell me about the gourmet race.
Just I didn't get a hand on it, but my favorite thing is like you've got these wonderful like photorealistic things that you can pick up as you're driving around anyway. Yeah, like video
Like
game
very
food looks-
hungry caterpillar.
Yeah,
the video game.
because like even when you're not playing the gourmet race, like you can just like pick up apples as you're going around, and they help you with your health and stuff. But it's all about just trying to just get as many power-ups as possible and trying not to like explode
Now, Mike,
immediately.
why does Kirby need an air vehicle when he could eat an air vehicle?
Yeah, he could eat an air vehicle,
Well,
possess an air vehicle,
You
eat
can
his
eat
opponents.
You can eat opponents and enemies around to get power-ups. So I like powered up as Link, and I went around with my little Master Sword, being whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Or you can like get other enemies around, and like if they don't have like a particular power that you can use, you just immediately shoot a star out. And like when you're attacking other players as you're driving around, it doesn't slow them down. So I was getting hit, not getting slowed down. But what it does is give you a boost. So it's sort of different to Mario Kart. Mario Kart, you're trying to slow everyone down so you can just get past the other slower people. This one, every attack is just a boost for yourself.
I think
which
the most
is a different, yeah.
The most unsettling thing is that now we know that actual food exists in the universe of Kirby, and yet he still chooses to eat people, objects, such as his deviance.
Predilection.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Yeah.
thing is, a lot of the other. So, like, even though, like, they said in the direct, they didn't want to make Kirby this super overpowered character because, like, he can absorb other people. So, other people can like capture and get powers other ways. So there are a couple of them that can, yeah. Like, there's one with a big long tongue that eats just sort of.
I should be playing as the one who throws curries around the place.
Yes.
That looks amazing.
Super spicy cooking,
cooking.
Super spicy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not your customary, like, ultra-realistic,
No.
physics-based racing game, right? But you're interested.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's I think in a way the whole it's basically Mario Kart is almost self-deprecating. I think it's doing it service because
100%, yeah.
that footage looks crazy. The chaotic nature, like you say, the mini games. I think it's good that they showed this mode here at Gamescom, because I think if they had shown just the kind of racing stuff, I think people so soon after Mario Kart would have been a bit like, is this really the next
Yeah.
game that we're supposed to be excited about? Whereas this battle mode is clearly going to be a sort of great online multiplayer party game thing.
Okay, so another one to watch here at Gamescom 2025. That's Kirby Air Riders. Now, Mike.
Yes.
What else have you seen? I know you've seen like a handful of interesting curios
Yeah,
here
so
on the show floor.
the joy of a place like Gamescom is that you can just wander around and there's all these different booths. Like every game you could possibly imagine is here, is represented in some regard. So I went and checked out a few of my own sort of little interests. I played a bit of Project Motor Racing.
Mike's little interest.
Yeah, Mike's little interest, which is racing cars and old arcade
Welcome
games.
to the Mike's
Yeah.
little interest portion of the show.
So essentially, I played a bit of Project Motor Racing. It's by the guys who made Project Cars back in the day. This is their new sort of...
A lot of projects here at Gamescom.
Yeah, they love a project. So you can see some footage here. They've announced Porsche are in the game. They've announced weather, time of day. Look at those puddles. Beautiful. What I think is really interesting about this game, and that might have an effect on other games on console, is the addition of mods, so on-console mods. So what they're saying is that modders are going to be able to make cars, even licensed cars, and submit them to their UGC, their user-generated content portal. What they will do is
so it's gonna
talk
be like you
with
could
the
just download
manufacturers of those cars, approve the kind of handling of them, make sure they're of good quality, and place them on console as free DLC, essentially made by modders. And I was asking them about this. I was saying, well, this is going to cost you a lot of money because licensees want to get paid, right? And they were saying, we're going to run it as a loss leader. So essentially, they're going to pay the licensing fees But in a way, if you think about it, a game like Gran Turismo, which has car updates to keep the game fresh, they have to develop those cars. The way this works is the community develops the cars, they approve them, they talk to the manufacturers, check that the manufacturers are happy, and check that the handling works, and then it's released to the game as a free DLC. So I thought it was a really interesting take, and they're doing it as a loss leader, but actually will keep this game fresh and allow them to have high quality content sort of crowdsourced by the community. So I thought that was really interesting because typically, you know, mods for racing games are a real nightmare because if someone makes a modded Porsche are going to get upset about it if they're not getting paid. I thought this was a really interesting solution to that problem and something that could be applied to, I don't know, other sports games or other games where modded content might cross over with licensed, copyrighted stuff. So you imagine a game that, you know, is an action game and people want to put a character from a TV show in. Imagine if the developers could go to that TV show and license that character. So I thought that was really interesting.
Imagine the negotiations.
Well, this is it, and I am glad it's not my job. And we met the person whose job it is. And he, you know, fair play to him. He seems confident he can make this work.
Okay.
But I love the ambition.
very nice.
I thought it was a really interesting take. For a smaller team, smaller development team that can't necessarily fill the game with licensed cars, this is a great solution. And, you know, modding teams and modding in racing sims has been around since the year dot. So there'll be a community that I'm sure is ready to embrace that technology.
Interesting.
The other thing I saw was a sort of under the TV plug and play light gun solution. Now, you remember arcade light guns? You know, Point Blank, Time Crisis, House of the Dead, that sort of thing?
Yeah, you're taking us back.
Yeah, right. Well, the problem is that they only ever really worked with CRT television, so old cathode ray tubes.
No, they
What
don't.
this device called GAME, it's really awkward. It's called GAME.
There's been a gun for
instead
like
of AME,
10 years that you can use any screen with.
Ungoogleable.
Utterly ungoogleable.
Okay.
It's just going to
Strong
correct your spelling. But it's a great bit of kit. The idea is that it's plug and play. It uses AI, because doesn't everything these days.
Oh, is that why it's GAIM?
Yeah, well, no, it's
because
supposed to
you're
be aimed like you're aiming a gun.
Oh.
But I guess also that.
But also,
maybe.
okay.
It could be like a 3-layer pun going on here.
No.
But the idea is that it works with your flat screen TV. It uses AI and it can kind of detect what's going on. So we had a bit of a play with that.
Okay.
It's plug and play. You just plug the guns in, plug in the HDMI and the power, and it will play classic Namco shooting games, including Time Crisis. Point Blank, which is my favorite shooting game of all time. It is the greatest.
I
and
thought
also
about doing
a
them
couple
on
of Steel
stream
Gunner
way
games as
back
well.
when
Yeah,
they
or
announced
massive
the-
television.
Yeah, on a
Not
massive television.
specific massive
Those,
television.
Yeah, or
laser
any
guns
size
coming
television.
out
They've
that I
sort of been
wanted.
training the AI with different living room environments and different screens and things to make sure it works. But it's great. I would say it's not quite as responsive as the original arcade things. There's a little bit of, as you drag the gun across, there's a little bit of drag there, but it's totally playable. And there's a version that comes with 2 guns, so you can play Point Blank 2-player. I just think as a sort of Christmas, it's coming out before Christmas, thing to sort of chuck on the TV for a party game. It's really nice to see light gun games coming back.
Okay, now we're running low on time.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to press you. What's your MVG? What's your most valuable game of the show, including, if you can cast your mind all the way back to opening night live? Highlights, please. I'm going to go to you, Mike, first.
I'm super excited about Resi Requiem. I think that's looking really, really sharp. I think having been in the crowd back at ONL, that absolutely got the biggest pop of the night. I think people are so hyped for it. Those guys don't miss anymore, you know. So yeah, super excited for that. Can't wait to play it.
All right. What about you, Ellen?
I'm gonna have to be that person and say Silk Song, like.
Not just that person.
Yeah,
there's a
who
lot of
cares
people.
about
who say that.
there's a lot of. I just.
I'm fully
and,
convinced
like,
that
the thing
they're
is,
just
like, I've
getting
got my
paid to say
Switch with
this,
me. I'm just want to
'cause
be
they
like,
literally are
Nintendo,
getting paid.
Can I just have a copy and take it home now? Yeah, like I loved Hollow Knight. It's brilliant Metroidvania game. If you've not played it, go play it.
Just not a
And
fan
yeah,
of
I'm
those
very
sort of games
excited for
anymore.
this new one. I think
Just
it'll
don't
be
do it for me.
like loads of people have been excited. It's basically, we were talking about this, it's turned into a meme more than a game at this point. As like even before opening night live, they were like, oh, there's a bit in this where everyone talks about Silk Song and then it doesn't show up, but no, it was there, and we were like, great. So yeah, I think that's the one that a lot of people are very excited about at Gamescom, including
What's caught your eye?
Well, Resident Evil Requiem, of course, and actually they've built a Raccoon City like police like facade, police department facade over the Capcom booth. So So very excited for that. And obviously Fallout Season 2, not a game.
Yes.
A game adjacent, opening night live.
It looks so good.
That
didn't
looked wicked. And we've seen some other stuff that we can't talk about yet, but it's also extremely
What a great reason to stay tuned to Outside
exciting.
Xbox and Outside Extra.
Yeah.
It's almost like we planned it.
There you have it, folks. It's about time for us to wrap things up. Here in the fish tank, I've been Jane, he's been Mike, she's been Ellen, and we've been Outside Xbox and also Outside Extra. Keep on watching for even more of the good stuff here at Gamescom 2025.
Apparel.
Oh, hi. You're watching Gamescom Studio on IGN. Nintendo has a huge presence here on the Gamescom show floor, so who better to break down all the biggest games and reveals but the cast of IGN's weekly Nintendo podcast, Nintendo Voice Chat. That's coming up in just a sec. After that, Max has a look at what's coming out next month besides Hollow Knight Silksong in September's biggest game releases. After that, an all-new episode of Next Gen Console Watch, IGN's weekly show that breaks down console tech, news, and more. Stick around because more Gamescom Studio on IGN is coming up right after this. Hello and welcome to a very special Gamescom 2025 episode of Nintendo Voice Chat, live from beautiful Cologne, Germany, a city known for giving the world delicious beer, breathtaking views of the Dom Cathedral, and a guy named Per Schneider. I'm your host, Brian Altano, joined by my Super Nintendos, Jada Griffin, and the aforementioned Per Schneider. Welcome.
Hey, I was born right here, actually, under the studio. It was back. No,
Is that the smell?
I thought.
Yes.
I thought he was gonna say on this couch.
I'm very sorry. I'm very
sorry. I'm glad we both went to the same place. Nintendo had a pretty massive presence here at Gamescom. One of the biggest booths I've ever seen them do. They had this gigantic stage where people could compete in Mario Kart. They had, for the first days we were here, covered in tarps, one section specifically, and we were like, what is it? What could it be? And then they announced we're doing a direct for Kirby Air Riders. Wasn't the only surprise at the show. They also, Hollow Knight was playable at their booth for the first time. So before we get into impressions on Hollow Knight, Pokemon, Kirby, Elden Ring, all the other stuff we played, I wanted to talk real quick about Nintendo's presence here at Gamescom, because this was the first show that I've been to where the Switch 2 is out in the wild. It's not a secret. It's not a rumor. It's not a 3D printed thing that some third-party company has off to the side. The Switch 2 is out. But you wouldn't really know it if you went to anybody else's booth but Nintendo's.
I think that's the effect of Nintendo playing the hardware specs and the actual development hardware really close to their chest before release, right? They obviously, CD Projekt Red got early hardware to work on their Cyberpunk port, but I think a lot of studios did not participate that early, and you're sort of seeing the results of it. And then the ones that the bigger companies were all playing it safe and developing ports, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens is you're not going to go to a Ubisoft booth and see the Switch 2 port of one of their older games running there because they're focusing entirely on Anno, their new game, right? And so, yeah, it's a little sad. I do love that they're back. Nintendo has always been a huge component of Gamescom. I've been to, I think it's been like 15 Gamescoms. 2 were actually virtual in our own studio in LA. And I've been to all of them, and Nintendo was always pretty big. They always do like this big stage with competitions, then they have a playable area. It's always packed. This looked really big and healthy with a really big Pokemon presence. So it's awesome, and you certainly can't walk around and feel like Nintendo is not here.
Yeah, for sure.
But when you're looking at everybody else, it's a little bit, it's a little muted.
Yeah, so hopefully we get a little more playable games on Switch 2s at the next Gamescom or the next event, right? There's plenty more between now and then. Even though E3 is long gone, Gamescom lives on. It's the biggest in the world. One of the biggest games here was actually, kind of a small one. It's an indie game. It's Hollow Knight Silksong. We got a debut trailer for it with a release date, which is September 4th. A lot of people are going to play this. A lot of people are going to play this on Switch 2 specifically.
Yep.
This is one of those things that just feels like the thing you want to play on that big screen, on portable, on an airplane, in a car, anywhere you go, right? Not while driving, hopefully. But Jada, you got to play Hollow Knight Silksong at Gamescom. Tell us about it.
I did. It's great. It's hauntingly beautiful in the way that Hollow Knight is. The creatures, just the ambience of the world is just masterful. It looks to be way bigger than Hollow Knight originally, and the developer says it's going to be bigger. There's like 150 more different enemies to fight this time around, supposedly, so that's good news for me who likes to fight and destroy things.
You love to kill stuff.
I do like to kill stuff, so I'm very excited for that. I'm very happy for all the backers who initially backed it because they updated their Kickstarter saying that they're going to be reaching out shortly to take care of the original backers and get them keys for Silksong.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but this is great. Highly recommend if you're able to get here, and if you're at Gamescom and you want to play it, go to their booth early because the line has been capping out at about 11 a.m. Each morning.
The line is so line that the line is so long that I think by the time you reach the end of it, the game would just be out and you could just download it on your Switch too.
I saw the same Gamescom until September 4th.
We like our neighbors over there have Metal Gear Solid Delta, another gigantic line, and it's like that game's out in like a week. So I get it, but also value your time.
Jada, thank you for reminding us that there was a Kickstarter because like when you hear Hollow Knight, Hollow Knight is like the little big game, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Like everybody in media and even gamers were getting frustrated that Team Cherry doesn't observe the sort of traditional marketing approach of telling you constantly when the game is coming. They just went quiet, right?
Yeah.
Like they announced it really early and said, "See you in the future," and then like it's months and months of nothing, and like you wouldn't think a game like this needs a Kickstarter, and it honestly doesn't. When I look at traffic on IGN, like the sort of demand from players, the original Hollow Knight turned into a huge hit.
Yeah.
Like a bona fide hit. Everybody's looking forward to it. It's a wonderful Metroidvania with a very different art style from most of the games out there. It's just kind of cool to see. We actually, because we knew this would happen, we knew that the moment the release date would be announced, people would go back and play the original. So we made an all-new map on IGN and Map Genie for the original game, and already traffic's going up. Because like, everybody who saw this went, oh, I got to go back. I got to play it before the new one comes up.
Yeah, I've seen the game.
I've got to go finish it.
It's been on sale in a bunch of places too, so yeah, go check out that map. A slightly less punishing and challenging game that is at the show floor, but also got a 45-minute Nintendo Direct this week, is a game called Kirby Air Riders. So we got a 45-minute Direct hosted by legendary game designer Masahiro Sakurai. Super cool. I think it felt sort of like a send-up of Nintendo Directs at first, like it felt like they were sort of like, poking fun a little bit at
100%.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then it kept going. And going and going. And as Logan Plant, regular host here on NVC, pointed out, it sort of devolved into him just reading the manual, which I think is a very funny bit. But Per, you and I got to play this on the show floor, and our thoughts were a little mixed. I really appreciate where this game is going and what it's attempting, but also it was kind of chaos. It's simultaneously like very, very simple and very, very chaotic, a little frenetic, and I think we'll find our balance there eventually. But from our demo on the show floor, we mostly focused on the sort of the city area, which we didn't get to race as much, which I'm a little bummed about. But yeah, what did you think?
It's really funny because we did this video reaction to it and we said, look, this might not be the game for us. And some people said, why do you put old people on camera talking about this? Well, we were not old people when Kirby Air Ride came out, and we all played it and we know what it is. And when I talk about my kids, I'm not saying it's a kid's game. They're now 24, 23, and 18 years old, and they'd be really mad at me for saying that I don't like it. No, it's very chaotic, but there's this sort of genius concept inside, right? At least for City Trial. I'm a big racing game fan. I always found the racing in the original Kirby Air Ride to just be weak, right? It's like, we joked it's a game that plays itself. You can actually put your controller down and Kirby will win that first race, if you're lucky. But there's obviously lots of technique in it, especially with a sort of like slow down to drift and boost. There's a lot in that. This game has a ton more, right? So it's not just a redo, there's just a lot more going on. And then it's really not about the racing, it's City Trial, right? This sort of Smash Brothers like concept, with in past Smash Brothers game, you had a board game element and then you had the combat. This is similar, only that the board game is an action game that leads to a shorter action game challenge.
Yeah, well said.
And so the city trial thing is really all about building up your character in different ways, and then there's almost like a social game element where when you're voting on what competition to enter with your upgraded character, you know what you're strong at and you can pick what you're strong at, or you can mislead people and pick what you're not strong at to make them pick the other thing, right? It's like the Princess Bride, right? It's like about I knew you were going to poison it, right? And so I think it's brilliant, but my complaint, and I think it's the same as yours, it's like it just doesn't feel that great to me.
Yeah, for having such simplified controls, I would think that it would sort of click a lot more naturally.
Yeah.
And it just kind of hasn't yet. And again, I'm going to get this game when it comes out. I'm going to play it because this is, one of my favorite game designers of all time is making a new game, and he's very clearly doing something that is deliberately not Smash Brothers, even if it has a lot of Smash Brothers.
No, and it's not Mario Kart. He was joking about that. It absolutely does not feel like Mario Kart in the racing levels. We got to play a racing challenge. We didn't get to play the main racing mode. That wasn't in the demo. But like even the sort of short races, you can tell it feels really differently. What I like about it are the different events going on. So the proof is really in the couch co-op.
Yeah.
Like I want to bring this home. I want to get my kids back together and play.
Yeah.
And do City Trial the old-fashioned way.
While you guys were doing City Trial, did you get to try out some of the different vehicles?
Yeah. And you have attacks, obviously, right? You can charge and attack your opponents. You can do like instant switches to a new rider you find, and then upgrade the rider. The riders have different capabilities, right? Like some are better for floating far, some are faster, some are better at turning on a dime, that sort of stuff. And so picking the right rider and then picking the right areas and things that give you the power-ups, that's crucial. You want to obviously upgrade a rider that's good for floating a long way with the ability to float longer, right? And so it is very strategic, and that strategy, when you watch this game, is kind of lost in the mayhem and the chaos. And what I really love are the sort of almost like server events where it's like, hey, everybody congregate in this one corner because something's coming down that you can bust open by all attacking it. It's almost like everybody work together, but then when it bursts, everybody for themselves grab all the power-ups and get everybody else on the way. It's very frantic. I think this is gonna be a lot of fun to play, but I wish it felt a little bit different.
I'm curious how I'm going to react once I play it, because I really love games where I get to min-max my stats and do things like that, so I think I'm really going to vibe with that element. But if the depth isn't there in the mini games or the different clashes and different combat types things, I think that's where it may lose me. But like I said, I still haven't played it yet, so hopefully when it drops, I'll,
Yeah, we were sort of wondering, like, what's the, not necessarily the end game, but like, what are you building towards? Like, obviously you're going to be unlocking characters and vehicles and stuff like that. And, like the first one, and like every Smash Brothers games has had just this massive checklist of things to do, these little tick boxes, right? And so if your brain is the type, and I know it is, to say, hey, Jada, get every single one of those, then maybe that's the thing that'll compel you to keep playing over and over. But I think there's going to be specific factors that will have to work for this game to really click with you long term.
I wish this was a Nintendo Switch online game. Not to say that they still can't do something like this, but when you see City Trial, it's a map that gets repeated and repeated in the original game, of course. It would be so cool if there were seasons where every quarter year you then get a new version of City Trial, and so everybody has to relearn it, discover new stuff, and so it doesn't just become this sort of routine combat, right?
So Perry, you're asking for a live service Nintendo game?
I'd see. Sometimes I don't know what I'm saying. I would love it to be. That's why I'm saying Nintendo Switch Online. I'm already paying.
I
actually have a family account, and so I love how Tetris 99 switches up its theme, and it would be so perfect for a game like this.
No,
right?
I totally agree. I think it would be very beneficial to have some elements change, even if it's just a small thing like buildings moving around, rotating, things lifting into the sky.
What?
A Nintendo Switch exclusive online game just launched, starring an adorable ball. It's called Dragon Drive, and it's available right
Oh
now
my
on
God,
Nintendo Switch.
I cannot believe you brought that one up. but what's really interesting about Kirby Air Riders and Kirby Air Ride is that, to me, the difference in game feel is the difference between Kirby and Mario. Kirby feels very floaty, right? And like the attacks, like the way you smash down everything, the inhaling pod, feels very, very different from Mario. And so Mario Kart feels like Mario, and this feels more like Kirby, which obviously is very appropriate. But if you think it's gonna feel like Smash Brothers, it doesn't. It does not have that sort of punch. Like when you hit somebody with a baseball bat in Smash, that feels perfect, right? You know, it's like this impact. This game is very, very like wobbly, very fast, very twitchy by comparison.
I do like the fact that the mechanic around hitting other players speeds you up instead of like slowing them down. Like there is a small slowdown, I believe.
Didn't we just
but
have
that
this
feels
conversation?
good. You're right. Like when you attack somebody, that feels good. Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
So like I think that's just a great way of rewarding like skillful use of items, because Mario Kart, yes, you can have good use of skillful use of items, and it's beneficial to you, but that's usually on like support items, mushrooms and things like that. And the only time you feels good, like if you land a banana peel, like throwing it over your head and hitting somebody right on top of them, which is very tough to do, but feels really good.
And it's not a shallow game, just to be clear, right? Just because it's frantic and more kid-friendly because you don't have to hold a button to go forward, it auto-drives, right? Just because of that doesn't mean it's not deep, because it does have like 1080 snowboarding. If you land straight, you get a boost, right? Or you lose balance if you don't. In this game, you get a boost if you angle your rider parallel to the ground and land. So it has a lot of technique, which we're expecting from Sakurai. So it is a little bit deceptive.
Yeah, we'll see how this one pans out. It's out, what, November 20th, was it?
That's a big question. Is it their big Christmas game, or is there also
November
a Metroid,
20th.
Brian?
Well, I mean, we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, November 20th, $70, 25 gigs, which is a lot of, that's a lot of gigs for a Switch game.
We already know the size, huh?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of original music on there, and maybe some videos we could watch. So that'll be fun. In the meantime, we had to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with plenty more Nintendo Voice Chat at Gamescom 2025. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
The average Cinefix movie list features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall deep dive analysis. To simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films, and before you say it, no, that math does not check out. We're not math people, we're movie people. We can't even count down from 10 without ending up at, like, 96. Subscribe to IGN Movies and TV for more Cinefix movie lists. Bad at math, great at movies.
Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help.
One step at a time.
IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. IGN has the very best, most complete and accurate guides for Shadow of the Erdtree, Baldur's Gate 3, Tier
Plus 2. And
And we are back with a very special Gamescom 2025 episode of NVC live from the biggest video game convention on Earth right here at Gamescom Studio on IGN. I'm Brian. I'm with Jada and Pear. And we all got to spend time playing games at Nintendo's booth, which is lovely. Jada, you got to play Pokemon Legends ZA, which I know is like one of the biggest games of the show. Big lines.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so it has the, we've seen the trailers. They've done a bunch of Pokemon Directs. They just had the little Victory Bell, Mega Victory Bell Direct that they had, or video, like YouTube video that came out a couple days ago. But the combat is very different in this one. It's more like Arceus, where action is happening. You're rolling around the battlefield, maneuvering your Pokemon around, trying to take them down without yours fainting. This one, I was kind of surprised how good it felt to play. I was, we know how the performance was in the past Pokemon games, and this one felt very smooth. Now, granted, this was low-level gameplay. I think my highest level Pokemon at the start was 7, and by the time I ended, my Mareep was at like level 9.
Wow,
and so very low-level combat. I also couldn't tell like for sure what moves I was using because it was all in Dutch, and I don't speak Dutch. Or maybe it was French, German. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was a language.
I hope it was German at Gamescom.
It was a language I did not comprehend. So I was trying to figure it out what moves I was using. Thankfully, they were color coded, so I could tell.
Right.
When I was using a flying move, it was like light blue. Electrical moves were yellow. But it felt really good. One of the things that also I didn't realize, I might have just missed in the previous trailers, but you can do stealth attacks on the different people. So like you can crouch and sneak up and then I sent out my Chikorita and used, I think, Razor Leaf on a Cubone. I think it was a Cubone. I can't remember which Pokemon it was. But yeah, I just did a little stealth attack and then knocked their health down to like half. It was an auto crit, I believe.
They can also get you though, right? Like
yes.
if you're not facing them, they can get you.
So I don't, maybe wild Pokemon maybe,
Yeah.
but for any of the trainers that I ran into, if I wasn't like sneak up on them, like a question mark pops above their health, like in traditional
I see.
stealth,
Okay,
and then it goes exclamation point, and they're like, and they challenge you,
Classic.
and then they pull out their Pokemon if it's not already out already, and then you summon yours.
And did you get to see like creepy Mega Victory Bell or anything like that?
I did not.
We're seeing some footage here of. We're not seeing the scary trailer they put out that revealed it, but like.
This generally looks clean and it's running well. I mean, I don't think any Pokemon games in a while have really been the ones that you're just like, this is truly taking advantage of all the power under the hood, right? Like it's not like Tears of the Kingdom or something, but it looks clean and it runs well. And I imagine you didn't get to see too much of like the larger world areas.
Did not. I was locked to just one little small space for basically I had to complete 3 battles to earn enough credit to get a ticket, so then I could challenge somebody to raise my rank from Z to Y, but I wasn't even able to do. Unfortunately, demo ends before you're able to do that challenge battle, so I don't know what those look like either. It'll be very interesting to see how the bigger moves like Earthquake, Surf, Thunder, moves that are either like more screen covering or tougher to dodge.
Right.
Because I did find it pretty easy to maneuver my Pokemon around to dodge many of the attacks, but also I was fighting against like Weedles, so I wasn't really ever in danger.
Yeah, nothing that was too taxing on the Switch 2 hardware.
Exactly.
Basically.
So we'll see what it looks like when they showed that trailer with like the Gyarados. We'll see what those types of moves look like.
Looking at it being played on all the different monitors, you kind of get a good feel for people using different actions. I mean, I think they got so much backlash over the performance in the past that performance at running smoothly was at the top of their list, and you can see they're holding back on visuals, right? Like these are not crazy detailed textures on the ground. They're not doing a ton on the lighting front, so it's very simple. But I think they're trying their darndest to get this to run as smoothly as possible, which means it's not going to be a generational leap over what we remember playing, but it actually probably is a nice step up.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing for a while was, these games keep selling incredible amounts, just obnoxiously high numbers.
Yep.
And that, people thought maybe the developers don't even care about performance because they keep hitting, crushing sales targets or whatever it is. But it is nice to see, at least so far, them prioritizing that a bit. And hopefully that is something that holds up in the larger areas.
They were never, I mean, this is Game Freak, they were never sort of at the forefront of technical innovation, right?
No.
Like, remember, like, games like Link to the Past, that had been out in 1990, and Pokemon still did not look as good for years and years to come, right? So,
right.
I mean, their strengths were always in the RPG mechanics, the depth of combat, the builds you can put your teams together. That was like always like the #1 priority, and then like cool creature design. Was maybe that was #1 because I think that's what sells Pokemon. It's like if Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle looked terrible in Gen 1, like would Pokemon be a thing? Probably not.